What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and The Last of Us Part 2 continues to provide so much entertainment for so many people, not because they bought this train wreck of a game, not because they're actually enjoying it, but because we're sitting here and we're laughing at it as it sits and rots on shelves. And there are so many people that are so butthurt about that fact. So I figured I'd bust out the sweatshirt again, link in the pinned comment below. But it's not hard to see. Anywhere you go, there are tons of this game sitting on shelves. And of course, you can see this one right here. The empty shelves are where Ghost of Tsushima was supposed to be before it got bought up completely. Whereas, look at all these copies of The Last of Us Part 2. Word gets around pretty quickly, doesn't it? And when I retweeted this, the fact that it's gone on a permanent sale of $39.99 on Amazon, not for any Labor Day special, not for anything, just because they're trying to get their warehouses unloaded from all of the stock that's sitting there. Someone said not even in Sweden will people buy this game. Look at all these copies in Sweden. Insane. But the funniest thing was these numbers that we got for August this week. Now, I saw these numbers, I was going to make a video, then I saw a Yellow Flash video where he was talking about Reset Era, so I figured I had to go and look at that thread as well, which we will. But you see here, August 2020, best-selling software. Now, it tracks physical sales at retailers, and it gets digital data directly from the publishers, with the exception of a few people. One of them is Nintendo. Nintendo does not give them their digital numbers. So keep that in mind when we look at this. But you can see, these are the top ones for August, right? August 2020, top 20 games, physical and full game digital from Nintendo, PlayStation, Steam, and Xbox platforms, ranked on dollar sales. So keep that in mind, dollar sales. So if a game costs $5 and it sells 1 million copies, right, that might not even get to this list if there's a bunch of things that sold 500,000 copies for $60. So you have to keep that in mind. But Madden 21, not a surprise, a new release this month. UFC, not a surprise, a new release this month. For August, I'm talking about. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, consistently right up there. It was number 2 the month before, number 3 this month. Then we have Ghost of Tsushima, still holding strong in that second month, in that 4th position. Followed by Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing, which has dominated the charts for quite a long time. But you go down, you see other Nintendo games, Ring Fit, Mario Kart, Super Smash, Paper Mario. You see Mortal Kombat 11 still up there somehow. Then this one, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Again, a game that was released in 2017 is selling more than The Last of Us 2. Down from 4th last week to 12th this week. So that is a big drop for The Last of Us Part 2 as it continues to fall down. Now, we looked, it was not even in the top 20 as far as number of copies sold for the month of August, at least on the PlayStation Store. But now when you factor in the dollar, it is number 12, the dollar amount. But still, the fact that it's getting beat by Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is laughable, and some people just can't handle it. Look at this. This is on Reset Era, or Reset Era if you prefer. They cannot figure out why this is happening. And look at all these comments below. Because it's a better game? I mean, one is clearly a game all ages can play. Now, this one I will actually buy into, right? A lot of people buying a Switch for Animal Crossing during lockdown to relax and escape. On the other hand, Last of Us is a dark, gritty story about a pandemic. But I get that. There are a lot of Switches being sold right now. And I think that a lot of people are going to pick up Breath of the Wild when they get a Switch. That makes sense. But it's not an excuse. This is the easiest one. Because people want to play Breath of the Wild and not The Last of Us 2. And I think almost every single person in the world can probably vouch for that. So I thought these were very interesting numbers. Now, when you go and look at the best-selling games so far in 2020, Last of Us 2 is there at number 3 behind Call of Duty Animal Crossing, followed by Final Fantasy VII and Ghost of Tsushima right on its heels. 3 PlayStation exclusives, all there right in the top 5. So that's impressive for Sony. And I think it makes sense, right? The Last of Us 2, this super highly anticipated video game release. And I've said all along that I expect, over time, Ghost of Tsushima will in fact overtake The Last of Us Part 2, which had an extra month of release time. And I've got all these freaking weirdos that tag me on Twitter. Listen, you're a loser. If you tag me on Twitter every day to try to get my attention, I'm not going to reply to your sorry ass. If you DM me every day to get my attention, I'm not going to reply to your sorry ass. If you threaten to do whatever to me, you're a fucking joke, and I'm not worried about it. But one of these losers sent me something. It is essentially a self-own, so I had to show it. They're like, oh, look at The Last of Us Part 2, right? So this is from Gamstat. So this shows you the PSN numbers. So how many people have played The Last of Us Part 2? Now, it's been contentious sometimes when I claim this 4 million copies shipped in that first weekend. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to listen to me. You don't want to believe me, right? But look at this. This is going to show you something. Remember, all you people who come and tell me, no, they meant 4 million copies sold. That's what they said. That's what they had to mean. There were 4 million people playing it on that first weekend. That is just simply a lie. It is not true, and we can prove it right here. So if you remember, this game released on the 18th of June, so between the 19th and the 21st of June is when Sony came out and said 4 million copies sold. Of course, that means 4 million copies shipped, but not a lot of people want to hear that. Quite simply, if you look at the 21st of August, there were only 3 million people playing this on PlayStation Network. Seems strange if they had sold 4 million copies, doesn't it? It's not until the 26th that it eclipses that 4 million players. So just let's put that to bed right now. Your argument is blown completely out of the water. And knowing that there are 4 million copies shipped, and knowing what Sony has told us, right? What Sony has told us about the June digital numbers, 2.8 million digital copies sold in June. So we know that those people have actually bought those, that are actually playing them. Fair enough, right? We're only right now at a 6.5 million player base. You'd have to imagine some more were sold digitally after that. That is why these stocks are... This is why these stores are still full of all this stock, because you shipped 4 million copies and you haven't sold anywhere near that physically. Even if you just say 4 million, even if you just say that and you take in the 2.8, you still haven't sold those. We know that for a fact. 6.5 total player base. Only added 420,000 new players over an entire month. Only less than 1 million returning players. 750,000 returning players in the last month, right? When you look at something like, oh, say, Ghost of Tsushima, which has nearly 5 million total player count, so catching up, you see the arrows a little more in the upwards direction too, isn't it, when you look at this graph? 1.7 million returning players. Because guess what? People want to come back and play this game. We know that. We've known that all along. That Sucker Punch has made a game so much better than the shit one that Naughty Dog gave us. Added 750,000 new players in the past month as well. So it is still tracking better than The Last of Us Part 2. When Legends comes out in this winter/fall, I cannot wait to see these numbers spike up again, to see even more people buy Ghost of Tsushima and get into it. And I cannot wait for this number to eventually exceed The Last of Us Part 2, which again has had an extra month out on the market. But continue trying to self-own yourselves. I guess that's what you're doing by giving me some of this data, guys. I really do appreciate it. I don't have the smartest enemies, that's all I'll say. But when you do look at these numbers, right, all in all, it's going to be interesting to see where everything falls out by the end of 2020, especially with PS5 coming out. Are people going to want to buy a PlayStation 5 to play Ghost of Tsushima on it? How much better will it look there? What is Legends? What is this multiplayer aspect going to look like for Ghost of Tsushima? Whereas you don't have anybody talking about Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 2, it is being often in bargain bins everywhere. I can't tell you the number of DMs, the number of times I get tagged from people that are just showing me the ridiculous sales that The Last of Us Part 2 is on in their countries. Collector's editions sitting there, PS4 bundles, tons of them that are sitting there because they thought people would buy PS4 just for The Last of Us Part 2. Simply wasn't the case. A great first salvo, but then word started getting out about this game, what Naughty Dog had done, what Neil Druckmann had done, and now we are where we are today. Feels good to be back in this sweatshirt again, doesn't it? Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Are you laughing at all of these Last of Us 2 fans like I am? Let me know. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.